talking about some different X factors that could play a big role in this game. And obviously, there are the names like J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, household names like that. But if Michigan's going to win, I think they're going to need some John Beilein outlier, performance type guys. And Chris, you mentioned him with your prize picks. I think it was spot on. I feel like everyone's talking about Colston Loveland as a potential mismatch. I am as well. I think there are opportunities for him up the middle of the defense. But A.J. Barner, too, he's going to be important in not only helping chip on these edge rushers, helping out the tackles a little bit, who are also X factors, depending on how they play, could swing this game. But he's also going to have some opportunities, I think, in the pass game. And Michigan's got to be creative, knowing that they may not get the separation they want on the outside. So those tight ends are going to be crucial.
Yeah, and I think Barner can be a guy that, I don't think he's going to get the attention that Loveland gets when Loveland's on the field. And so that's going to give him some opportunities like he did against Michigan State, right? When, on 3rd and longs, you had a couple tight ends that were making plays in that game. And I think that can be an advantage for them. So no question in my mind. And then maybe a guy like Samaj Morgan, right? That if you get him in space and everybody's going to be concentrating, they're going to be jamming these outside receivers at the line of scrimmage. Is there a way that you can get the ball in Morgan's hands and let him do some things? I do think so. And I'd love to see Michigan use Alabama's getting upfield, their defensive ends against them a little bit too, maybe with some draws and some screen games. But to me, one of the X factors is the obvious one, J.J. McCarthy with his feet. I think some draw plays. We haven't seen a whole lot of quarterback draws. Maybe he keeps it on the read option. To me, that's something they're going to have to do if they're going to win this football game.
Yeah, maybe he's not an X factor because he has been such a prominent part of the offense, but he hasn't played as well. And to me, it's Donovan Edwards. This is a guy that you come into the year and, he's, again, not using his words against him, but, going to revolutionize the running back position. And they're going to use him in the slot, and he's going to be a big play, a home run ready to happen. And we haven't really seen that a lot this year. In fact, for all the talk about him playing out of the slot, only 34 of his, I think 330 something snaps have come out of the slot this year. So to me, when you look at this game, I mean, if Michigan's going to win it, I think they have to win the middle of the field, and that's in the slot with those guys like Edwards and Samaj Morgan, Tyler Morris when he gets in there, the tight ends. To me, that is the key to all of this, because you're going to have those defensive ends screaming upfield. You're going to have those guys on the outside, the cornerbacks, doing their part. And you know what? We talk about this being a money game too. Roman Wilson is going to win a couple of those one-on-ones. I'm sure Cornelius Johnson is going to win a few of those. But for them to sustain their attack, I think it's got to be, the middle of the field. It's got to be a guy like Edwards getting more involved in the passing game, and them doing him at his best this year. They've run those plays where he's, pre-snap motion right into a route, and they just kind of dump the ball off to him with, a full head of steam ahead of him. So to me, that is, I look at Donovan Edwards as not just an X factor, but a huge factor in this game. If they can find a way to get him going, they're in really good shape.
Yep, I agree. And I did kind of throw Blake Corum out of the equation with this because he's such a mainstay in this Michigan offense, but his first playoff as a featured running back, injured a year ago against TCU, and then, really wasn't the featured guy against Georgia. I think he only had a few carries. So a big opportunity for him. We saw what he did against Ohio State in his first opportunity to be the featured back against them a month ago. And we're going to see what he does in this chance in the college football playoff. Final score predictions. I got Michigan 28-21. I think at different points in this game, we're going to see some punting back and forth. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. And I think it's going to come down to, maybe not the team that has the ball last, but the last offense to kind of make those plays, sustain a drive. And I'm going to go with the experienced quarterback in J.J. McCarthy against a guy who is kind of in the shoes J.J. was in a year ago against TCU as kind of a first-time starter, a little bit younger. I know he's a third-year player, but a redshirt sophomore, Jalen Milroe, maybe he makes a mistake or two. Both teams are going to have to play clean. Whatever team wins probably makes the fewest mistakes. And I'm going to go with JJ's experience and say that with the guy with the ball in his hands each and every play, outplays his counterpart on the other side of the field, and that'll be the difference.
Yeah, and I think it kind of depends on his offensive line too. So, but yeah, he's going to have to do some things, I think, if things break down. So I've got Alabama winning a tight one, 27-20. It's going to be a one-score game. I think it's going to be a lower-scoring game, kind of like a lot of Alabama's games this year, right? To me, it's, I just, I'm going with Nick Saban in the postseason. Sorry, and I know the Michigan fans are disappointed. It doesn't matter what I think. Hopefully I'm wrong, right? All that matters is how Michigan plays. But when you look at it on paper and you look at the athleticism that they're going against, it's a different animal. You look at the coaching and the way that Michigan's played in the postseason as well. They haven't brought their best efforts under Jim Harbaugh. Hopefully that changes this game.
Yeah, our staff predictions article went out a few days ago, and Balas caught a lot of heat for picking Alabama. And I also picked Alabama, and sort of quietly was not taking the shots for that, but I just put it out there now. But yeah, to me, when you look at a game like this, is to me the closest matchup maybe I've seen in a Michigan game since I've covered these games. I mean, there's not really a clear advantage for either team in a lot of areas. There are teams where there are aspects of it where you're like, all right, well, Alabama's edge guys are going to be a problem. Their corners are going to be a problem. But then you flip over to the other position groups. It's like, well, I like what Michigan has here better, et cetera. So to me, you look to the margins in a game like that. And I do think Alabama's biggest strengths being that pass rush, being those cornerbacks. We've seen Michigan struggle in pass protection this year. We've seen their wide receivers struggle to get open. So to me, those are Alabama advantages. I think when push comes to shove, this will be a tight game, and it's tough to pick against Nick Saban. It really is. And I think that if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, you need someone to step up and make a play. I just feel like Alabama's just got a little more explosion on offense, maybe a bit more explosion on the offensive side of the ball, but also a much lower floor too. I think Michigan's a high floor offense that maybe hasn't quite hit its ceiling yet. But to me, I hate to be that guy, but we pick the games as we see it. I have Alabama winning 24-21 in another one of those tight games.
Yeah, and they've played a lot of them, a lot of tight games. They've trailed in the second half of 5 SEC games. It's the SEC champ, the Big Ten champ, at the Rose Bowl. Maybe not traditional, maybe not Pac-12 involved, like the traditional Big Ten versus Pac-12. But it is going to be so much fun to see these sets of colors in that setting. And when the sun sets, and it's probably a close game at the end of the third quarter, sun setting over those mountains, it is going to be fantastic.